He lied to us about giving opportunities for our youth. When he was elected in 2016, he pledged to, quote, invest in and protect youth services in London right now, end quote. Instead, he has cut spending, he's closed our youth centers, and he is creating what is now known as a lost generation of our younger people. It's unacceptable. The current mayor of London does not care about our children. All the broken promises from 2016, they result in three things: an increase in youth crime, higher youth unemployment, and a mental health crisis for our children. My job is to empower people like David Hay to get those positive role models so they don't result to a life of crime. 146 days from now, I plan to move into City Hall and be your next mayor of London. He said, if you change a child, you can change your community. For me, giving back to the world was the greatest gift I ever received. So I thought to myself, I need to actually step up and do this job that no one else wants to do and no one else is capable of doing. And let's be clear, if I don't become your next mayor of London, you are stuck with the current guy and you get 3 more years of his nonsense. So unless you make proactive change, you own that decision.
One, two, three, listen.
Welcome to Real Deal, Real Deal, Real Deal, Real Deal, Real Deal. Joining me today are the happy pair. Welcome to Real Deal. Welcome to Real Deal. I am Brian Rose, and we are live here at London Real World headquarters to talk about communities and how our current mayor of London has failed our younger generation by slashing budgets and breaking his promises. And today, I want to talk about 3 things. The first is, I want to outline all of the promises our current mayor of London made to us back in 2016 about how he was going to change our communities, where our younger people go, where we congregate. Next, I want to show you how he, in fact, slashed those budgets, and it resulted in higher crime, youth unemployment, and mental health issues. But at the end, I want to give you solutions. That's what this is all about. I want to show you a way that we can solve this problem, and I'm going to show you exactly how we can fund the problem. And I think we can get results very, very quickly. And that's what I'm all about, and that's what my plans are. As I move into City Hall on May 7th and become your next mayor of London, we are literally going to start investing in community centers. I know where to find the money. I found the solution, and I'm going to share it with you today. It's going to have a massive impact on our communities, on our younger generation, on our crime rates, on our unemployment, on our mental health. And I'm super excited to share this with you today. I want to hear your feedback. I'll be asking you questions throughout. And as usual, this is an open communication. My primary job as your next mayor of London is to listen. It's to listen to you and then to serve you and find out what are your problems and try to fix them. And then to go listen some more. And this is something we're lacking in our leadership now, and it shows, and I want to highlight that today. But of course, I want to give you the solutions on how we can fix it as well. Anybody can come up with a problem, but it takes someone committed to come up with a solution, and I want to share that with you today. So first of all, thank you for being here. We are live now on about 4 different platforms. I'm getting all of your comments coming straight here into my iPad, so please leave me your comments. I'll be reading them all out periodically throughout the broadcast, and if you're watching this later, leave me your comments below, and I'm going to try to reply to all of them. First of all, I want to talk about community because this is something that's so important to me. Over the past 9 years with London Real, which is my media platform, we have been building communities all around the world. And we've been doing that by mentoring people, by educating them, by trying to transform their lives and make their lives better. And by doing so, we've created an entire group of, we call them London Reelers from around the world. People in, hundreds of countries, people in tons of local communities that all feel like we have improved their life and they want to then improve other people's lives and then they want to give back. And so it's been an incredible experience. If you don't know our history, I've had nearly 1,000 conversations with people right here in this studio that we have broadcast and that are now available for free. They've been watched a half a billion times. A half a billion times our content has been watched. And like I said, for the past 9 years, we've been putting this out for free. And our content, it does a variety of things. It teaches people about their health, their diet, their nutrition, their mental health, teaches them how to become entrepreneurs. It teaches them solutions for their sleep, for their relationships, for everything. We have put out those ideas. And so we know a lot about community. I also have something called London Real Academy, where I mentor people every single week. On Tuesday nights, I am speaking with hundreds of people around the world live, listening to them, talking to them, and trying to help them solve their problems with their business, with broadcasting, with all sorts of things. So this is something that's in our DNA here at London Real. It's been a huge part of my life for the past 9 years. We've graduated over 5,000 students from 107 countries in our academy. Last year, we had a live event here in London. We had 1,000 people from around the world that flew in to all be together to change their lives and to help each other get to the next level. So this is something I love so much. And this is a massive contrast to what my life was 10 years ago, where my life was all about me. I was just your typical banker in London who was, he was all for himself. It was all about Brian and how Brian could make more money or buy more things. And it led me down a road of depression. It led me down a road of unhappiness, isolation. I was totally alone. I had no family. I didn't really have a lot of friends. I had no community because I wasn't giving back. And so I always like to say this, and this might seem a little strange to hear, but I want to say it back to you. For me, giving back to the world was the greatest gift I ever received. Giving back to the world, it was the greatest gift I ever received, because it's crazy. The more I give, the more I get back. And it's been the story of London Real. It's funny. Every year I did London Real, my life got better. My relationships improved. I got a family. I got control over my bad habits and my addictions. My health got better. My fitness got better. Everything got better as long as I kept giving back. And that's why community means so much to me. And when I look at the state of our community in London, it just makes me angry. It makes me sad. It makes me upset. I'm sure you feel the same way. When I walk around and I see community centers closed, when I see our youth with nothing to do with their lives except get involved in crime, when I see no employment opportunities, when I see their mental health suffering, I really take a lot of personal responsibility for it. And I think, when our teenagers are committing crimes, when our teenagers are stabbing each other, it's no longer their fault. It's our fault because we haven't invested. We haven't given them opportunities. And that's why it makes me really angry that our current mayor outlined all of these grand plans to invest in our communities, and yet he broke all of those promises. He lied to us about giving opportunities for our youth. And I want to talk about that today, and I also want to talk about my solutions. So again, I want to talk about 3 basic outline pieces today. The first is how our current mayor of London has failed our communities, failed our younger generation. When he was elected in 2016, he pledged to, quote, invest in and protect youth services in London right now, end quote. That's exactly what he said. Instead, he has cut spending, he's closed our youth centers, and he is creating what is now known as a lost generation of our younger people. It's unacceptable. The second thing I want to talk about is the impact of his broken promises. And when he breaks a promise, it's not just someone who's lied to us, because we've all had people lie to us. But when our current mayor of London lies to us and breaks his promises, this is what happens. We see a massive increase in youth crime, and we've all seen this. I did an entire episode about our rising crime rates, our rising knife crime rates, all happening under your current mayor's watch. The second thing that happens is higher youth unemployment. And this is horrible, and it manifests itself in so many other problems. And the final thing we see is a mental health crisis for our younger generation, all because of the current mayor's broken promises. The third thing I want to talk about is my solution to our community crisis, because there's a solution right in front of us we could be embracing literally in the course of months that would change all of that. And I want to explain to you that it starts with understanding that an effective community requires 5 things. And pay attention to what I'm saying. 5 things are required for an effective community. And I know a little bit about this, and I'm going to share with you some of the community work I've done over the years, not just here at London Real. The first thing that you need to build a community is you need people who want to help. That's really important. You need first people who want to help. Second, you need to identify the people who need help. And we know there's a lot of those out there. Third, you need infrastructure or processes or organization, something to help make that happen. The fourth thing you need is communication. If these people don't know that the other exists, then they're never going to be able to be paired up and get mutual benefit from each other. And the fifth thing that's missing or that is needed to build community is cash. You need money to make this happen. We all know this. Last week, I was at Homerton at the Wally Foster Community Center, and the gentleman that owns it, Matt, came up to me afterwards and he said, Brian, he said, the government's cut our funding. He said, I'm in here doing this. I don't get paid for doing this. None of the guys you see here get paid. We do this because we used to be these youth. We did our crimes. We did our time. And now we're coming back to make sure it doesn't happen again. He said, but the government isn't giving us the money we need. And I could see the pain in his eyes and I could see the incredible work he was doing without the money. But I know the solution to this. And Mac, I can help you and I can help all the other people in London that have this same issue in their community centers. I know where we're going to get the money and I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to do it. So we won't get another excuse from our leaders when they say, oh, we ran out of money because it had to go here, here, and here. Sure, we've heard it so many times before, but our youth suffer for it. Our crime rates suffer for it. Our unemployment suffers and our mental health suffers from their excuses. So before we get started, I want to hear from you. Again, my job as your next mayor of London is to listen to you. So please type in right now, wherever you are, whatever social platform you're on, tell me, answer these questions. And please type in, even if you've never made a comment before, please type something in now. Tell me something about yourself. First, tell me, do you think community is important for Londoners and why? And this applies to any city you're in. So go ahead and fill that in no matter where you're at. Second of all, do you think investing into our communities will help solve knife crime, mental health issues, and give career options to our younger generations? Do you believe that that will help? Third, I want you to tell me, has the current mayor failed in his promises to improve our communities and why? Has he failed and why? And fourth, I want to ask you, do you think we need new leadership and new ideas to take our communities to a new direction? Please type those comments in there right now. I'm going to come back to them shortly. Before we get into my first point, I just want to state something that I guess is obvious right now, but I plan to be your next mayor of London. And this is something, quite honestly, I spent months and months and months thinking about. I thought about all the reasons not to do this. I thought about the fact that I'm really needed here at London Real. I have communities all around the world that need me every week to produce content, to teach in my academy. My business has never been bigger. Our broadcasting platform has never been bigger. Our media footprint has never been bigger, and it's growing. It's nearly doubling every single year. But I also thought to myself, my real mission deep down inside, and my mission here at London Real, and if you come to the studio, you'll see it on the wall, it's to create a mass-scale transformation of humanity into a fully empowered, conscious, and cooperative species. And I thought to myself, if I really, really am sincere about that, then why don't I start right in my backyard, the city of London, the city that's given me everything. 20 years ago, I came to this city a broken man. You know, this city gave me everything. So I thought to myself, I need to actually step up and do this job that no one else wants to do and no one else is capable of doing. And let's be clear, if I don't become your next mayor of London, you are stuck with the current guy and you get 3 more years of his nonsense. So unless you make proactive change, you own that decision. And that is a de facto endorsement by you. And I thought to myself, I've got to do this. I've got better ideas. I know that I can make those changes. And I don't have corporate lobbyists. I don't have political parties. I don't have all the weirdness that goes behind politics. All I have is myself, the great ideas, and your support. And I thought, I can't not do this. 20 years from now, what am I going to tell my kids when they say, Brian or Daddy, what did you do back in 2020 to solve the problems of London? What did you do? Make some videos? Or did you actually step up and make a change? So that's why I'm running for London. The support has been absolutely incredible from you. For those of you that don't know, we are in second place right now. We are in second place and moving into first place. Let me be clear, we are winning this race. And when I tell people that on the streets, I see this shock in their eyes. They're like, oh, you're actually winning? We are winning. We are making history. No independent candidate for the mayor of London has ever been in second place, ever. And especially not with 5 months to go. We are ahead of the Conservative Party, a party with hundreds of years of history in this country, and we are closing in on the current incumbent mayor of London, who thinks he doesn't have to work for your vote. He thinks you're just going to leave him in there for another 3 years, and that's why he's not really bothering to do a lot in an office right now. But we need that change. And so that's why I'm running for mayor of London. We are moving into first place, but I need your support to make it happen. And tonight, I am continuing on the Brian for Mayor listening tour. I'm going to every single borough of London, and that's our plan for the next couple months. We are going to every single borough. I want to meet with you and spend time with you. Last week, we were at the Homerton Community Center, known as Wally Foster, an excellent place, met some amazing people. Tonight, we are in Tower Hamlets at a venue called Space. We're going to be there at 6 p.m. tonight. Come on our social media platforms. You can go there for free. I would love to meet you, talk to you, and more importantly, I want to listen to you. I want to listen to the challenges you currently face in your communities. I want to listen to the challenges you're facing with knife crime. I want to listen to the challenges you're facing with getting back to work right now. You're probably struggling. Maybe your business is failing. Maybe you're on furlough. Maybe you've lost that. And you're wondering, how am I going to pay my rent? I understand what you're going through. And finally, I want to talk about the housing crisis. Most people cannot afford to rent or buy a home in this city, and it's got to stop. It's unacceptable. So I'll be there tonight, and I'll be coming to see all of you here in London. So please, book a ticket. It's free. Come see me. I want to talk to you. I want to listen to you. I want to spend time with you. I want to take pictures with you. I want to give you a bunch of Brian for Mayor swag as well. I got, coffee cups and t-shirts and all sorts of stuff. So come on out tonight. I would really appreciate it. I'll be there live in person, and you can ask me any question you want, and I will answer it truthfully and sincerely, because that's what I've been doing for the last 9 years. So thank you so much again. I can't say enough. The only reason we're in second place and moving into first is because of you. It's because of support on the ground. It's you sharing my website. It's you sharing my videos. It's you telling your friends and family, hey, this guy Brian, I know he's got a funny accent. I know he comes from America originally. He's been here 20 years. He's got the ideas that are going to change this city. Trust me, this guy can get us out of these problems. I appreciate you saying that. And I promise to you that that's what I'm going to do as your next mayor of London. So let's get into these points, and I want to give you the honest facts here. I want to give you the truth of what our current mayor of London has been doing for the last 5 years that he's been in office. So here you see a picture, and this is our mayor with his big promises back in 2016 when he was elected. And you can see from that headline that he had promised a quote-unquote better London. That's what he said. And when he was elected in 2016, he pledged to, quote, invest in and protect youth services in London right now, end quote. Invest in and protect youth services in London right now. But he's done the opposite. Instead, he has cut spending, he's closed our youth centers, and he is now creating what we're calling a lost generation. And I want to tell you more about this. So during those 2016 elections for London mayor, more than 40,000 young people signed a petition, and they asked the candidates to pledge to do this. And this is a quote from that survey coming from our younger generation. They asked the candidates to pledge to, quote, invest in and protect youth services in London right now. And that's what the mayor promised to do. That's what the kids asked for. And in the mayor's campaign manifesto, he vowed to, quote, do all in his power to make London better as he was sworn in as the new mayor. And you see more of these pictures coming up here of the headlines in the papers of him promising in his manifesto to change London. And he claimed, quote, that he would make London safer by restoring neighborhood policing, tackling gangs and knife crime. And we all know how that's worked out. The thing is that evidence from young Londoners to the Mayor's Knife Crime Summit in October 2016 showed that among young people, they most wanted these things. And I'm going to quote to you what they told him at his Mayor's Knife Crime Summit back in 2016. They said they wanted, quote, investment in youth services and clubs. They wanted mentoring. They wanted outreach and youth workers. They wanted work programs and workshops, and they wanted mental health support and 24/7 access to advice. This is coming from young people at a summit the mayor had in October of 2016. What did the mayor do? Instead, he has massively cut spending. And don't take my word for it. Here's one of the many, many headlines I'm going to show you today. This one's from The Guardian, and it says it there in black and white. Youth club closures put young people at risk of violence, warn our MPs. And the hard facts are this. Our youth service budgets were cut by 46% between 2012 and 2019. And an even larger cut in funding is being implemented this year. Let's look at some of the numbers, and these are going to shock you. These are 10 of the worst performing boroughs here in London. And look at some of these numbers. It's hard for me to even read these numbers to you. Barking and Dagenham, they've cut £1.5 million on the budget, and I'll leave these up there for a while. That's a 68% drop. Enfield, down £3.1 million cut in budget, an 88% drop in the budget. Hounslow, dropping £600,000. That's a drop in 73% on the budget. Tower Hamlets, where I'm going to be tonight, the mayor cut your budget by £4.7 million. That's a 54% cut in your budget. Look at those numbers. They're shocking, those numbers. And it's the absolute opposite of what the mayor pledged to you. But you can't get around the data. The data shows exactly what happens. And instead of doing what he promised, he in fact closed your youth centers. And you can see in this headline here from The Observer, a third of youth clubs in London fear closure by year end. And according to a report, it's called the London's Lost Youth Services. It's a 2019 Assembly report. Since 2011, London has lost at least 100 youth centers. 100 youth centers lost in London since 2011. And the report goes on to detail exactly what's happening. It said the number of youth centers has fallen from 234 in 2011 to 130 last year. That's a net loss of 104 sites. But it gets worse. More than 560 youth workers have lost their jobs in the same time. This, strangely enough, has also coincided with a rise in youth violence, and the report goes on to say, overall spending on youth services has now been cut by 46% since 2011, with 29 London councils having a cut of a combined £26.3 million. How can my friend Mac in Homerton at Wally Foster be expected to run his incredible community center when our mayor is cutting £26.3 million from the budget? Mac would probably do amazing things with £30,000, but they're cutting £26 million. And the report finishes off by saying that projections of youth service spending suggest more cuts to come. Your current mayor is projecting more and more cuts to our community centers. And you can see here on screen now, this comes from the London councils themselves. And this is a key fact that they are admitting. You can see here in black and white, £4 billion cut from core funding for local services in London between 2010 and 2020. They are admitting they are cutting £4 billion from the core services. This is unacceptable. And you can see again on the screen here, and this comes from Bernardo's, one of the top children's charities here in London, and it warns, and you can see it here, children's services are at a breaking point. A breaking point. And that's what Bernardo's is saying independently of everything that we're seeing. And I just want to finish off with some data from the charity called London Youth, which was released this summer of this year. And it said that 31% of youth club organizations could struggle to operate within 6 months. 31% could struggle to operate within 6 months. They are dying because of what your mayor has done. More than a quarter, 27%, were struggling with running costs, and 47% of them had furloughed staff. And again, another headline, and we see these every single day. ITV News is investigating, reveals grassroots sports are feeling the squeeze of these council cuts. These cuts manifest themselves in so many ways. And here you can see it, the younger generation, more things that they don't have the choice to. And that survey earlier goes on to say that it found that 78% of our youth were engaging, 78% of our communities were engaging with fewer younger people. And the worry is that these younger people will never return to the clubs. 73% of them said that mental health of their young people had been affected. And, this table here pretty much shows it all. Here you can see the net youth service staff cuts from 2011 all the way up to where we are in 2020. And look at what happened while the mayor was there. Look at how he slashed Youth service staff cuts. Look at how it's just gone up from 200 to 300 to 400 to 500. And he just keeps slashing and slashing and slashing our youth service staff. What do we expect to happen when the mayor cuts our budgets, cuts the staff? It's no surprise that we're struggling with what we're struggling today. And so it's clear to me, and I'm sure it's clear to you right now, that the current mayor of London does not care about our communities. He does not care. I think most people would agree with that. The current mayor of London does not care about our children. The current mayor of London does not care about our younger generation. And in my opinion, he never intended to keep these promises. And so how can we believe anything he says? How can we believe him? I know I no longer do. The truth is, our future and the future of our younger generation is in our hands. And it's up to you and me to change that future actively. And that's what I plan on doing as your next mayor of London. So I know that's some really heavy information, but we've got to know the facts. Most of you are not surprised to hear this. We know what's happening on the ground, and we see what happens on the back of it. And I'm going to share with you the shocking numbers of how that's manifesting in crime, in unemployment, and in mental health. But honestly, I want to hear from you right now. Do you think community is important for Londoners, and why? And again, tell me that if that's true for your city as well. Do you think that investing in our community is going to help our violent crime? Is it going to help our unemployment? Is it going to help our mental health? Do you believe that the current mayor of London has failed in his promises for our communities, and why? And finally, do you think we need new leadership? Do you think we need new ideas to take our city in a new direction? And again, I'd love to hear from you, and no matter what platform you're in. I'm getting all your comments coming in here right now. Wow, there's a lot of them, and I want to see more. So wherever you are right now, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, before or during or after the broadcast, please leave me your comments. There's some great messages coming in, and I really appreciate all of these. We got Brand Camp Marketing on Instagram saying, Brian for mayor, I appreciate this. We got Jason Boyle on Instagram saying, you need to run for government. Brian for mayor 2021, you sound like the right choice. Thank you so much, Jason. We got RBSA Bidong on Instagram says, for the win, Brian. Thank you very much. And the truth is, we are doing this to win. We're not doing this for any other reason. We've got Conscious Brotherhood on Instagram saying, I watched your ayahuasca documentary last night. So good, Brian. Thank you very much. I forgot to say that in addition to the 1,000 episodes we broadcast here on London Real, we've also broadcast 5 feature-length documentary films that we give away for free because it's important to invest in our communities. We got Van Can on Instagram says, hey, Brian, you're the best. Thank you, man. Moment Sambi says, you're a good man. I appreciate you. We got Claudia Gitz on Instagram says, people help Brian. This is our last chance to have freedom. They want to take all of our freedoms and choices away. Support Brian. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Some more people on Instagram saying support Brian. Thank you very much. Kimmy Harvey on YouTube says, vote for Brian Rose. Keep the freedom. May you become mayor. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you. Matthew Sri on Instagram says, our mayor. Thank you so much. We got Mukmufo on Instagram says, Brian, you're great. Thank you. Ian Brixton on Instagram says, thank you for being the solution. Having experienced knife crime firsthand, I can honestly say that since Sadiq came to power, things have gotten worse. And I'm quoting directly from Ian Brixton, boy. And Ian, like, you know how serious this is in Brixton. I appreciate your thoughts. He says, he goes on to say, the youth don't have things to do, and it makes them more likely to be a part of it. You've said it right there. If we don't give our youth options, then it's our fault that they result to crime. It's our fault that they result to gang violence. We need to step up and give them options. And I have solutions on how we can do that, and we can make it happen now. Thank you, Ian. I really appreciate that comment. Some other great comments coming here. We got Tams Khan on Instagram saying, nurturing young people and creating an acceptable community is very important. Glad to see you aim to help them. I appreciate you. We got Jonolda on Instagram saying, hashtag stop the violence. Thank you, Brian, for your mental support. My pleasure. We got Carl, the Dr. Boxer on Instagram saying, Sadiq Khan has failed us at everything. Ruined housing market, ruined roads in London. Historic black cabs are on the brink of collapse. Knife crime, the story goes on and on. I couldn't even say it any better. We've been talking about this for months. He has failed us on all accounts. He's failed us on his promises. You know, I speak to London black cab drivers every single night, and they are so frustrated. They are barely able to survive, and they are just one part of many parts of this city that has been failed by our current mayor of London. Jay Verhaber on Instagram says, I'm from Argentina. Community is very important everywhere. I appreciate you. We've got Dean Okai Sr. Dean, the man I saw in Homerton last Friday. Dean, I really appreciate you. Dean has been working tirelessly in the communities for years and is really frustrated with the lack of engagement that he's getting from the mayor in London. Dean goes on to say on YouTube, quote, investment in youth engagement will always dissipate serious youth violence. It must be a funded grassroots approach, hand in hand with the strategic map for delivery. Very well said, Dean. I really appreciate your help. And Dean, again, has been working tirelessly for years on this, but he's been frustrated for the reasons of this. He has not got support from the mayor. He has not gotten funding from the mayor. But as he said to me, quite frankly, in front of the people last night, all he gets is legalese and legal talk from someone who's never run a business, for someone who doesn't care about the community, and someone who can't tell him where the money's gone. And Dean, I appreciate your candor last Friday, and I look forward to working with you in the future to build on our communities. And I know you're going to like the ideas I'm going to share with you shortly. We've got Mrs. Bolus on Instagram saying, yes, getting involved with the community, mentoring, and maybe allowing churches to do those things will help the youth with knife crime. It's in my heart to help our youth, but don't know how to start. Our youth centers in Newham have closed already. Thank you, Mrs. Bolus. I appreciate that. And I'm going to be in Newham next week to speak to you and your community. The reason I'm going to places like Homerton and Tower Hamlets and Newham is because I want to see what's happening on the grounds. There's no other candidate and no other leader that goes out on the ground and talks to people like you. People are surprised when I'm going out there. What are you doing here? Why are you here? The question is, why aren't they there? All of your leaders should be in your communities every single week talking to you, finding out what's the problem. You know, I'm shocked that they're not there on a regular basis. So I appreciate you. I'm going to come see you. And again, we have to get our community centers open. We've got to get anything to engage with the youth, whether it's a boxing club or a church or a daycare center, anything to engage with our youth. And I'll talk more about that shortly. We've got Golaz Gold Spoon on Instagram saying, yes, you are talking about what's right, and I appreciate you. And finally, we've got a question here. D of the Original on Instagram says, Brian, what is your mindset every single day? To be honest, affirmations and gratitude practices are really important to me. I also meditate every day. For me, I affirm where I want to be in the future. So I talk about the positive things I want to do, and I say it as if it's true every day. And honestly, I'm grateful every day for the beautiful things I have, because I haven't always had them. I haven't always had a great community like people like you. I haven't always had a family. I haven't always had my sobriety. I haven't always had my health. And so I'm grateful every day to be alive. And honestly, I'm grateful to be able to serve you. You know, a lot of people look at the job of mayor as one big headache. For me, it's an incredible opportunity to serve the people of the city that did so much for me. This city saved my life. This city has done great things for me. I can never repay what this city has given to me. And so doing the hard work as mayor will only be a drop in the bucket for what I owe to this city of London, and I plan on giving it back in spades. All right, let me talk about our second point here, and then I'm going to give you the exact solutions of how we can start fixing this problem today. And that's what I'm going to give you as your next mayor: action. So many of your leaders, so many of our politicians, they talk about what they're going to do instead of doing it. They talk about building houses. I'm going to build houses. They talk about building communities. I'm going to build communities. They talk about getting London back to work. Every candidate now seems to have co-opted my phrase, get London back to work, but none of them are telling you how, and that's exactly what I do. So I want to talk about point number 2. And again, this is serious, and these are sobering points, so stay with me here. I want to talk about the impact of the mayor's broken promises. And you can see here one of the headlines that we all see every day. This one comes from The Independent. And you can see the title here: cuts to children's services are pushing young people into violence and exploitation, the experts warn. And the truth is this: all of those broken promises that I just outlined, the cuts to our community centers, the cuts to the funding in the youth, all the broken promises from 2016, they result in 3 things: an increase in youth crime, higher youth unemployment, and a mental health crisis for our children. And I'm going to show you how. And again, another one of the headlines that we see every single day. And you can see this headline. You can see it's wrong priorities. Sadiq Khan, his culture budget doubles, why crime spirals, and of course, 30 more killed in London. This again shows the wrong priorities of our mayor, worrying about culture when, we are seeing crime spiral. But next, we are seeing a marked increase in youth crime. And the truth is this, youth crime is up with a shocking rise. We have to know that. Knife crime has gone up for every single year the mayor has been in office, every single year. I did an entire 1 hour episode about this 2 weeks ago. Every single year, violent crime going up, knife crime going up. The current mayor has just recorded his 100th murdered teenager on his watch. He just recorded his 100th murdered teenager on his watch. 100 murdered teenagers under your current mayor's watch. Unacceptable. But it gets worse. Youth reoffending rates have increased 10% in London, up from 33% in 2006 to 43% now. That's double that of England and Wales under his watch. And it gets worse. Between 2012 and 2017, the number of under 25-year-olds who were killed increasing year on year since 2014. So it's been increasing year on year, and the number of under 25s who were killed has doubled since 2014. Doubled. Last year, there were 135 killings in London. Killings, all on our mayor's watch. 30% of those crimes committed in London are by young people, and they involve violence. This has to be addressed now, and we all know how to address it. It's right in front of our faces. It's right in front of our faces. But let's go deeper. Let's look at the higher youth unemployment because of our mayor's broken promises. In the UK, we've seen 602,000 young people are unemployed in the last quarter. That's an increase from 53,000 from the previous quarter and an increase of 101,000 from the year before. This is the highest level of youth unemployment in the past 5 years. And now unemployment in London is most prevalent amongst those aged from 16 to 24, the exact type of young person that we could have targeted if we hadn't have broken our promises and slashed spending from our community services. Lastly, I want to talk about mental health because this is a major crisis for our children. We all know this. We're having a mental health crisis for our younger generation. These are the facts. Mental health hospital admissions for younger people have increased 68% in 10 years. 68% increase in mental health hospital admissions in the past 10 years. In London, 1 in 10 young people have a diagnosable mental health disorder. 1 in 10. That's preposterous. And that's 3 in every school class. That's more than 100,000 young people across London now have a diagnosed mental health disorder. I wonder why. And finally, between 1 in 12 and 1 in 15 children and young people now deliberately self-harm. And this is a real crisis. It's also, unfortunately, a crisis on our female younger generation, and it's something that's very important, and it's something that I want to address. This is a crisis of mental health for our children. And this is all happening because of one reason. This is the impact of your current mayor of London's broken promises. And again, a community center isn't an extra. It isn't a bonus. It isn't a place where you can go have some fun. It's a place that invests in our younger communities. It's a place that prevents crime. And the truth is this, our current mayor of London doesn't care about our communities. He doesn't care about our children, and he never intended to keep his promises. It's obvious to me that our current mayor of London doesn't care about our children. And the question I have to you is, how can we believe anything he says? That's my question. It's our future, and we've got to take ownership of it right now. So look, I want to get your feelings. And again, I know these are sobering numbers, and it's kind of depressing to hear the truth, but until we know the truth, we can't invest in our future. And so right now, I want you to tell me and answer these questions. Do you think community is important for Londoners, and why? Do you think investing in our communities will help us solve knife crime, mental health issues, and also give career options to our younger generation? Has the current mayor of London failed in his promises to improve our communities, and why? And finally, do you think we need new leadership and new ideas to take our communities in a new direction? Please type in the chat right now and tell me, what are your thoughts to these questions? I'm very curious on what you think. Again, I'm going to be reading out as many comments as possible, and I really appreciate your ideas here and what's coming on here. Really appreciate a lot of great stuff coming in here with your ideas and your concepts. And again, type here and tell me what you're thinking and what's going on with the chat. Some great comments coming in here from a lot of you right now. On Instagram, saying someone just said, Brian for mayor, I appreciate you. And they're saying, Brian, we appreciate everything you're going to do. Some great comments coming in here as well. Again, type this stuff on Facebook if you can. And I'll pretty much read these things out right now. I'm just waiting for my feed right here to come in here and get all the rest of that. We got someone here on YouTube that says, vote for Brian Rose. We see that you're going to keep your promises. I appreciate that. Very good. Someone else here on Facebook says you'll do a good job. I remember when you were talking about getting your citizenship, and I'm so glad you became a citizen here in Britain. I appreciate that. We've got someone named Little Ant on Instagram says that we need your help in America, Brian. I appreciate that. I've got a job here in London first. We got Claudia on Instagram saying we need action, Brian. And you have shown us so many times with your interviews with brilliant speakers. We are going in the right direction with Brian. Thank you, Claudia. I really appreciate that. We've got Joshua Webb on YouTube that says, Brian Rose would make a great mayor. I appreciate you very much. Thank you so much. We got Jolene McCann on YouTube that says, Brian, you are a rarity and politics needs a vigorous shakeup. I couldn't agree with you more. This whole system needs to be shaken up. This two-party system needs to shake up. The corporate sponsorship, the mysterious agendas, it all needs to shake up, and I appreciate you saying that. Jolene goes on to say, you're the beautiful human to do it. Thank you very much, Jolene. I appreciate that. We got Dupree on Instagram says, out with the old, in with the new, hashtag Brian for mayor. Thank you, Dupree. I really appreciate you. We got True Party King on Instagram that says, quote, Business Accelerator grad and living my best life. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. He's one of the members of my academy that I teach every week. Again, we've graduated over 5,000 students from 107 countries around the world. I know what community means. It means investing in them, mentoring them, giving them your time, but also creating the platform to do it. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do that next. So thank you so much for that. We've got Zen Consciousness on Instagram saying, kudos to you, Brian. Thank you very much. We got Greg Bordeaux on Instagram saying, quote, Brian, keep up the fight. You're a light for truth and help. Thank you very much for truth and hope. Thank you very much. We got Hawa Tehan on YouTube that says, hashtag freedom of speech. Thank you, Brian, for your passion and courage. I believe you will make a great difference to London as mayor. Thank you so much for that. We got Joshua Webb on YouTube that says, Brian Rose would make a great mayor. London is becoming world-renowned for its knife crime, sadly. And I agree with you. There are some real issues that we've got to worry about here. We've got Ian Brixton Boy back talking to us. I really appreciate Ian. He's followed up on his earlier comment on Instagram by saying, quote, funding is needed. New leadership, knife crime needs to come to an end. I've seen the increase in crime firsthand. It's sad. Please come to do a talk in Brixton. You will be someone who will be very helpful here. Thank you, Ian. I appreciate you. I am coming to every single borough in London, period. I'm coming to Brixton. Are you kidding me? I'm going to probably come there twice. Important issues happening on the ground. I'm coming to talk to everybody. I'm going to shake hands. I'm going to exchange ideas. And we are going to move London in a new direction together. And we're going to be in constant communication over the next 3 years while we fix this city. I promise you. So thank you, Ian. I appreciate that. PickEye007 says, quote, I know you are the man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We've got Happy Little Ella says, quote, Sadiq Khan does not care, in all capitals, about London. She said, Sadiq Khan does not care about London. Brian, you are so badly needed. Sadiq should have been gone in the spring. And I agree with you. He should have been. Thank you for your support. Chick Pammy on Instagram says, quote, your wife is so energetically centered. She could lead the way with meditation and mindful works. And I couldn't agree with you more. My wife, Mariana, will be joining us tonight in Tower Hamlets. She was there with me last week in Homerton. She's an incredible, incredible inspiration to me. She's an incredible mother. She's an incredible leader. She's an incredible yogi. She's an incredible psychologist. So much that she does so well. And I agree. We're going to try to get her involved as much as possible because she's got great ideas and great instincts and she's got a great heart. So thank you so much for that. We got Nav and Heather on Instagram that says, quote, in 2016, the Children's Commissioner revealed that only 15% of the NHS budget was spent on mental health. Only 3% of this 15% was budgeted for children's mental health. That is unacceptable. And we are seeing our current mayor's broken promises, his lies, manifest that self in the mental health crisis for our younger generation. It's no longer acceptable. Now I want to talk about the positive answers that I have for you. And as I've said many times here, At London Real, I tell the whole team here, don't bring me problems. Anybody can bring me problems. Bring me solutions, right? Anybody can get out there and complain. Anybody can get in the comments on social media and tell someone what they're doing wrong. But it takes a real leader to provide solutions, and that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to give you solutions. But first of all, I want to tell you that I actually understand quite a bit about community. As I said on London Real, I've been building a worldwide community for the past 9 years. Again, our videos have been watched by 500 million people in the world. We have a following right now of over 5 million people around the world. I know communities. I have academies. Great community building is about pairing together people and other people and entities. And again, it's always about mentorship. That's what the young people said they wanted in that 2016 survey with the mayor. They said they wanted mentorship, and that's what's needed in a community. And strangely enough, I had a deep 2 or 3 or 4 hour conversation on Sunday night with David Hay. And here's a picture of me and David. This was taken literally just days ago. And David is the world championship boxer in 2 weight classes. He's actually from Bermondsey here in London. Grew up in a tower council flat, and I've known David off and on for many, many years. And he came by, and we had a multiple hour conversation about how we can invest in our communities. And David said to me, he said, Brian, I'll be honest, I've never voted in my life, and I never liked any politicians. I don't trust them, I don't like them. He said, but I want to work with you, and I want you to become the next mayor of London, and I want to work with you and build community centers. David said, it makes me sick to see all these boxing clubs closed down right now. He said, young men need an outlet. He said they need an outlet to get out all their energy, or they're going to result in crime. He said, it's obvious. He said, I've been there, I grew up there. He said, it kills me that these places are not getting the funding or the attention that they desire. And I was so happy to have that conversation with David. He mentioned a great organization called Gloves Up, Knives Down, who works to get young children into boxing, to get them away from crime and knife crime. And I really appreciate David Hay's thoughts, and I look forward to working with David. We are going to be working side by side to build our community centers, to give our youth options, and especially boxing clubs. I think martial arts is an incredible way to empower our younger people, men and women. I took my young daughter when she was 8 years old to jiu-jitsu class every single week. She's trained in self-defense. She can choke you unconscious if she needs it. And I think it's important to engage our children physically and mentally. And this is one of the many ways, and I'll outline this in my community first policy when I finish. So I look forward to working with David, and it was great having that conversation with him. But I've also had great conversations with other people in the past. And here's a picture with me and Jamal Edwards, who is an MBE, which is an honor given by the Queen. And this is me and Jamal speaking on London Real many, many years ago. And those of you that don't know who Jamal Edwards is, well, first of all, I don't know where you've been, because Jamal is world famous for creating a channel called SBTV. And he was one of the early movers when it came to hip hop and grime music here in the UK and putting it in video. And he really built a lot of powerful artists, including names like Ed Sheeran, Stormzy, a lot of these big up and coming acts. Thank Jamal for his media platform to getting them up to speed. And the reason I'm talking about Jamal is because he's done something incredible when it comes to investing in community centers. And not recently, or not long ago, Jamal was back in Acton, where he grew up, and he looked across the street and he saw the old community center that he had spent time in as a youth, and it was closed. And he thought to himself, why is that closed? That's the place that allowed me to invest and learn about music, to learn about video. If it wasn't for that community center, Jamal said, I might not even be where I am today. I might not have created SBTV. I might not have an honor by the Queen and been able to help so many people. And he thought, how can I open that community center? And so I'm giving you a case study of something that's already been done in Acton. Jamal worked with sponsors like Google, corporate sponsors, and charities like the Wellcome Trust, and got hundreds of thousands of pounds in investment and opened up that community center. And so Jamal has provided the blueprint of what we can do in hundreds of community centers throughout all boroughs in London, and we can do it right now. The problem is our current mayor of London would never even conceive of this because he doesn't understand entrepreneurship. He doesn't understand how to speak to corporations. He probably wouldn't even understand that that's an incredible idea, but I do. And so immediately, as your next mayor of London, I am going to be reaching out to corporations, large corporations with big budgets, and give them the opportunities to invest in community centers. And here's the thing. They are dying for ways to invest in the communities that hold their own customers, but they've never been given a way, a clear opportunity. Now, in this one-off case, Jamal used his track record, his celebrity, his connections, and it wasn't easy to get the funding from those people and those corporations to invest in the community centers. And we are going to do the exact same thing, but 100x on a bigger scale. Why isn't this being done by our current mayor? All it would take is a couple phone calls. All it would take is some real leadership. But all I hear from him is he blames other people for his broken promises. He blames other people for the lies he's made to us. He blames other people for the rise in violent crime and knife crime. He blames other people for the rise in youth unemployment. He blames other people for the increase in the mental health issues of our younger generation. And that's no longer acceptable. We know the blueprint. Jamal Edwards has shown us exactly how this has worked, and we can do this in Wally Foster Community Center, where I was last week. We can do this at Space, the place I'm going to speak at tonight in Tower Hamlets, and we can do this with community centers all across London. This is the blueprint, and we can do it because, again, we want to solve these problems. We know that there's people that want to solve these problems. All we have to do is empower the people that want to help, the people in need. We want to empower the infrastructure. We want to give them communication devices, and we want to give them the cash, the injection of money that they need to build their community centers. Again, speaking with Mac last week at the Wally Foster Community Center, the money is what he needed. He needed the money. He just didn't need broken promises from his mayor and from his council for another month, another year. I could feel the pain, but I could also feel that he was moving on even without the money. He was doing it for free, along with the rest of his people. And I heard the same things from Dean Okai, who was commenting today, who I met. And my job as your next mayor of London is to empower you with the corporate funding to get the job done. My job is to empower people like David Hay to work with the communities and get our kids involved in martial arts. That's what I promise to do as your next mayor of London. And so finally, I want to get some of your questions, as I always do. Tell me, this is for the last time I'll be asking, do you think community is important in London and your city, and why? Do you think investing in our communities will help us solve knife crime, mental health issues, and give career options to our younger generation? Has the current mayor of London failed in his promises to improve our communities, and why? And do you think we need new leadership and new ideas to take our communities in a new direction? Again, please type your comments and whatever platform you're on. And wow, there's a lot of them here. I'm going to try to get to all of them, so thank you so much. We got Ben Kelly on Instagram, says, mental health crisis is serious and very sad. The cause is difficult to pin, but it needs to be resolved and investigated. We got Fendi on Instagram saying, from Chicago, nice to see you aren't feeding into the madness of this world right now. No, we're trying to offer solutions here, and I appreciate that. And Ben Kelly, I appreciate your comment on mental health. It is very serious and it's very sad. Jay Lee on Instagram says, I live in Florida and you make me hopeful for the future. We need people like you over here. Thank you for what you do. Best of luck. And again, for all the Londoners, and for all the people around the world, we believe that we will show London as a model to the rest of the world by getting this city back to work, by making London safe, by reducing knife crime, by solving our housing crisis, by solving our community crisis. We're going to be a model to every city around the world. So I appreciate you. We've got Miss Guyanese West Coast on Instagram says, quote, a sense of community is very important. However, it is something which has been lost. Social distancing and fear is really affecting the community. I agree. We have to work harder to get our communities back. We have to build that sense of community. That's what real cities are about, and that's how real change happens. So thank you very much for that. We got Enrique Mendez on Instagram says, Brian, quote, I wear your Brian for Mayor t-shirt with pride. Thank you so much. Love the energy and integrity you're bringing. It is long overdue. Thank you, Enrique. I appreciate you. If you want to get your Brian Rose swag, go to our website, brianformayor.london, or come see me tonight in Tower Hamlets. I'm bringing the best swag you've ever seen with you. T-shirts, coffee mugs, you name it. Thank you, Enrique. We appreciate you. I got Cheryl Ledger on YouTube. It says, quote, the world needs to change for the better. The day is coming. I couldn't agree more, Cheryl. We are the leader of change. That's what we're going to bring as the next mayor of London. And thank you. I've got XRP number 1 on YouTube says, quote, radical action is required now. I agree. And that's what we're going to bring to the table. We've got Steve RB240 on YouTube. It says, quote, saw you at the summit event last year. Thank you for coming, Steve. It was a great day. I think with your drive, Steve says, I think with your drive, ideas, and ability to reach out to people, you'd be great for London. Hope the Londoners make the great choice with you. Thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate you. And again, we've been doing this for 9 years. We've been giving back to the community, building communities, trying to help other people get across the goal line, and we're going to do it even more so in London. So thank you, Steve. Graham Kirk on YouTube says, quote, we need role models and investment in our young people. So many have lost their way. I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much, Graham, for that comment. I really appreciate it. And Christina on Instagram says, Brian Rose, you are a great leader and for sure to be the next mayor of London. All the best. And so thank you so much. A couple last comments here. I'll read them out and then I want to finish up. And I really appreciate all your time and I appreciate all your comments. We've got Katie, 24K on Instagram says, quote, this is a great thing, Brian. I love this idea to help communities. Hashtag Brian for mayor. Thank you, Katie. This is so important. I've got Jolene McCann on YouTube says, quote, Jolene's hubby here. Bro, gee, you've come a long way. You're very inspiring and so in touch with reality. And I mean the real world. About time you and we show these people how it's supposed to be. I love you. Thank you, Jolene's hubby. I appreciate you very much. Master Billion on YouTube says, quote, you had the courage to burn your demons publicly. This man over years now truly loves himself, so has the capability to love others. MPs, that's members of parliament, should take note. More what people want is this. And thank you, Master. I appreciate that. And what I think he's referring to is some of my documentary films. I mean, honestly, I'm not perfect. And I've shown you my struggles with addiction. I've shown you my struggles with being a better father, my struggles with being a better leader, my struggles as an entrepreneur, my struggles to keep myself healthy with diet, with exercise, my struggles just to be human. I'm not perfect. I've made all of the mistakes. But I've tried to put them out there in my movies so you can learn from them. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you noticing. And again, I agree, we need our politicians to just be more real, be more honest with us, show us that you've failed and show us how you've succeeded and help us succeed. And that's what I'm trying to do here at London Real. That's really been our mission for the past 9 years. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. Jared Green on YouTube says, God bless you, Brian. Brian for mayor. Thank you, sir. One of our followers on Instagram says, quote, I can see you have empathy and compassion. Brian, you are the real thing. We need more people like you in office. Thank you so much. Will Yarnton on Instagram says, quote, keep up the good work. Genius Yash on Instagram says, hello, Mr. Rose. Best of luck for the journey of Mayor of London. Thank you, sir. Dean Marks on Instagram says, quote, just want to say thanks for being so honest with everything you post. You're the best. Thank you so much. Donna B on Instagram says, quote, Brian, we need someone like you with your enthusiasm and energy. Love, Brian. We need more people like that. Thank you so much. And we've got Sweeney Ginger on Instagram that says, you're a fantastic leader. And of course, Plant-Based Ben on Instagram says, you've got this, Brian. Thank you so much. And look, I just wanted to finish out with my solution as your next mayor of London. And let me make this clear. 146 days from now, I plan to move into City Hall and be your next mayor of London. And again, I'm going to stop talking about all these problems and I am going to get solutions now. I'm going to take action now. You are going to be shocked by what we do. We are going to build houses. We are going to get the city back to work. We're going to make this place safe. We're going to build our communities in months, not in years with broken promises and lies. And so we're super excited. But the only way I'm going to be able to get there is with your help. The only way, because the current mayor of London, he's not worried. He knows he's going to be reelected. And so we have to go out there and proactively tell him that it's not okay. It's not okay for you to break your promises. It's not okay for you to lie to us. And so I'm going to go in and I'm going to put community first. And by doing so, I want to do the following things. So again, as your next mayor of London, I'm going to put community first by doing these things. First of all, I'm going to do it by reinvigorating the concept of a community center. And that is a high traffic daily hub for communal activity for all local residents. We've got to get everyone there on a regular basis so we can get a touch point with the elderly, with single parents, with younger generation, with everyone. Second, I want to engage with corporate sponsors who can inject that much needed capital into our community centers across all boroughs of London. Next, I want to provide job training and placement services for teenagers, adults, and the elderly to retrain workers in a constantly evolving economy. This is so important and no one talks about it. Next, I want to offer childcare and youth activities for all age ranges that engage creativity, curiosity, and passion of our younger generation. Next, I want to promote art and culture with regular performances and showcase the local talent, especially our younger generation. So important to engage with them in this way. Jamal Edwards knew this. I know this too. I want to educate everyone on the latest technology, from hardware to computer coding to web design to digital services. We've got to get everyone up to speed with technology. It's a great way to engage with our younger generation. Next, I want to provide housing support for all local residents. Next, I want to actively encourage daily movement for community members of all ages. And that means I want to include a range of options, from yoga to walking to running to dancing to martial arts, plyometrics, more, boxing, everything we talked about with David Hay and those incredible clubs. Next, I want to show the practical benefits of cooking and proper nutrition. And finally, I want to teach better health practices and better mental health solutions for all of our communities and emphasize the younger generation. Again, investing in our communities, it's the fastest way. It's the most cost-efficient way to improve the quality of our life, to improve the quality of our city. And only by investing in our communities are we ever going to have a chance to improve our crime rates, to improve our employment rates, and to improve our mental health. Again, Community First is one of my many policies I have, which include getting London back to work, putting housing first, making London safe again, investing in our education, putting our health first, our families first. I have a detailed set of policies that are all located on my website, brianformayor.london. I have more practical policy steps than any other person running for mayor or currently mayor. I've spoken with more community leaders, with more entrepreneurs, with more people in our taxi unions, in our tourism industry, in our theater industry than the current mayor of London has spoken to in the past 3 or 6 months. And I'm not even a political leader. And I've spoken to more people. I'm on the ground talking to these people, offering solutions. I've got detailed policies. And again, I'm going to stop talking about it and we're going to start taking action now. In 2021, you will see me take action across all of these pieces, and I'm super excited to do it. But I just want to say in conclusion, I can't do this alone. I need your help. Honestly, the current mayor of London, he assumes he has your vote. He really just assumes he's going to get it because he got it last time. And he thinks this city always votes for his party. And so he's not going to bother even trying to get your vote. And that's probably why he hasn't bothered to keep his promises. It's probably why he doesn't care about communities and doesn't care about your children. That's probably why he doesn't mind lying to you over and over and over again. The truth is, it's going to take hard work, and it's going to take all of us to put a new person in office and take London in a new direction. It's hard to break up this two-party system. It's been entrenched in this country for hundreds of years. They have tens of millions of pounds in financing. They've got corporate sponsors. They've got conflicting agendas. They got all sorts of nonsense of going on behind the scenes that I'm still understanding right now. And the more I learn, honestly, the more it makes me sick. We want to change all that. We want to shake it up. I have no agenda. I have no sponsors. I have no party to answer to. All I have is me and you and the best ideas. That's it. And that's why I think my ideas resonate with someone like David Hay, where he says, Brian, I know you. You're always bringing us the truth. You're always giving back to the community. I want to work with you. I want to build the communities with you. And I hear this every single day from people out there, and I'm honored, and I feel totally, I feel grateful to be entrusted with you to make these changes for this city. And again, this city has given me so much over the past 20 years. And I'll speak about this more in the coming weeks, about how London saved my life. When I arrived in this city the last time permanently in 2002, I was a broken man. I had nothing in my life. My health was horrible. My mindset was horrible. I had no family. I had nothing. And over the course of the next 20 years, London gave me everything. And this is my chance to repay what this city has given to me. Thank you so much for the time today. I appreciate your input. I appreciate your insight. Again, we need you. We need your vote on May 6th of next year. We need your support. We can't do this alone. We're all going to do this as a community. We're all going to do this as one. And again, I am here to listen to you. I am here to serve you. And I am here to take London in a new direction. I want to make this place a world-class city once again. I am confident we're going to do it. I look forward to seeing you tonight in Tower Hamlets. I look forward to seeing you next week in Newham and in Brixton and in all the incredible boroughs from around the city. I want to see you. I want to talk to you. I want to listen to you. I want to feel your energy. And together, we are going to take London in a new direction. I promise you, we're going to make these changes. It's going to be incredible. And we're going to show the world what a world-class city looks like. I am confident we're going to do this. Thank you for your support. And I'll see you next time on London Real. At London Real, we believe that individual transformation can change the world. Join us and start your journey today.